Jon, first of all, we have to say congratulations. You are the man who broke the story everybody wanted to break. How does it unfold for you? Obviously, you're not revealing sources, but this news breaks at a very early hour on the West Coast where you are in San Diego where the winter meetings are being held. So, are you sleeping and you get a ping? Like, how does that work?
Ryan, my friend, congratulations to you on all the great work that you've done this year. First of all, I want to say that first, and thanks for the invitation. But I'll say this: all the credit goes to my wife because today is her birthday, and so I had to get up early. Of course, I live in the great state of Michigan, and so I had to set my alarm for about 5 a.m. local time to be able to get up, wish her happy birthday before she goes to work at the hospital. So I had to set my alarm nice and early, and I wake up at 5, and there's a text, and it's the right person, right time. So there's a lot of luck involved, Ryan. I would say that the number one reason I'm lucky for having married my wife, Alexis, is for obvious reasons because she's amazing. But there's like somewhere down the line of her amazing virtues is that, hey, her birthday falls during the winter meetings. I have to wake up early to wish her happy birthday and end up getting a nice story here on a Wednesday morning.
How amazing is that? What a wonderful story, Jon. I love that.
True story. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it.
I love that. That raises the standard for all of our wives, I think, about how they give us gifts on their birthdays. But
she gave me. Yes, exactly. She's a very giving person. Really proud of what she does at the hospital as a doctor, which is far more important than what I'll do on my best day. So she's a giving person, and once again, she comes through today. Amen, man.
And you know what? I was just thinking about today, the 3 years that everyone in healthcare has been just, I can't even fathom what it has been like. Mm-hmm. So a big thank you and a happy holidays to your wife, man, because I cannot imagine how taxing this time has been.
I appreciate it, Ryan. Certainly, and for us, just grateful to be under one roof again as an industry. It's those connections that are so special to make, and colleagues that are friends. At the end of the day, Ryan, we love the 9 innings the games are going on. We love the travel. We love the excitement of being at the ballpark. But at the end of the day, this is a people business, and the people who play the game, who manage the game, the broadcasters, journalists, writers, agents, everybody that we get a chance to cross paths with. So it's pretty special. I really just feel grateful to be here this week.
Yeah. Well, Jon, what was interesting is obviously yesterday we went on a crazy roller coaster when it came to the Judge news. And obviously Heyman's tweet was the smoking gun in the roller coaster ride, but there was other things out there as well that seemed to indicate that Judge was close to heading to San Francisco. And the whole time I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, just like knowing the way that Aaron has played this all along, I'm thinking if his goal is to get the absolute most out of the Yankees he possibly can, he's playing this perfectly because he's not kind of giving any tell. There's a feeling of, real possibility that he could leave. Like nobody within the Yankees seemed to be totally confident that he wouldn't leave. And it feels like that's kind of what he did to end up getting the absolute most he could out of the Yankees and this massive 9-year deal. How real do you think the possibility was of him leaving? Or does it feel like to you, all of this was about, I want to be a Yankee. Let's do everything we can to just get the best possible deal to be with the Yankees.
Ryan, it's a great question. I think that is probably the seminal question that we will all have when Aaron meets with the media, when this is formally announced.
Yeah.
I believe that he was thoroughly considering his options. I don't think he would have flown here, which reportedly he did, to meet with the Padres as well, who were something of a late entrant to the bidding, and the Giants certainly as well. We both know Aaron professionally and understand how sincere he is as a guy, and I think that his genuine interest in exploring the process of free agency was there. He said that all along. He was curious about it. He'd never done it before. It's like the best recruiting trip you could have in your life. You'll probably only go through it once, quite like this. And I think that Aaron and Sam wanted to go through it and see what happened. So I think they really authentically and thoroughly considered it. What we'll probably never know will be, Ryan, if the Yankees had stayed at 8 years and $300 million, would he have given up $100 million to stay? Because reportedly the Padres were up there around 400 or at 400. And so once a team gets to 400, And if the Yankees were still at 300, that would have been quite a test to see what any human to turn down $100 million is pretty extraordinary. And I think once the Yankees got up to a reasonable distance, and once you get to $360 million, it gets you the record for any position player in the history of the game. At that point, your financial history, your future, everything is secure for your entire family for generations to come. There's not much more that you need once you get the record, once you get everything, and then it's just a matter of how much more do you really need. And I think I do believe his heart was with the Yankees. We have seen players have their hearts with their hometown team and not stay, but I think in his case, Ryan, I love this. It's the 11-year anniversary of Albert Pujols deciding to sign with the Angels. That was 11 years ago exactly today. It's a different decision made by Aaron Judge. I think, honestly, among friends here, I think he made the right choice to stay with the team that he had grown up with, and not just because we certainly have followed the Yankees very closely, but I just think that this was the right place for him for the game. And Harold Reynolds made this point this morning on Hot Stove that for the game, it's the New York Yankees. It's a marquee team, and it's a place that he wanted to stay, and they clearly wanted him to be there. And I'm sure there were a lot of really crucial conversations, probably family and close friends at the last hour to decide what to do. And I made this point as well on the air today, Ryan, that I think his agents and Aaron as well played this in a very, very smart, thoughtful, sensitive way, that there was never a public statement uttered on either side, really, and this includes the Yankees, that created a block in that bridge. The bridge was always open. There was never a crossing of the Rubicon in one way that made it untenable to go back. There was never a hard feeling there. And listen, negotiations are never pleasant. We understand that. It's in the world of business, in the world of sports. But I just think that there were a lot of professionals involved here. Aaron is a professional. His agents did a very good professional job. The Yankees did as well. There never got to be a point of no return on any side. And so I was just really impressed by the integrity, really, of everybody involved.
I think that's a great point, John, and probably a point that isn't, or I haven't heard made, but it's something that I think is very significant, because my biggest concern for the Yankees' ability to retain Judge during this period of time was Aaron getting sensitive to something that happens, somebody else wooing him with a massive offer and a feeling of, wow, like they want me desperately. And these people kind of tweaked me. And now I make an emotional decision that probably, 30,000 foot view isn't best for my career or legacy or what have you. But at the time, because you're in the middle of the emotions, you make. And you're so right, John. Nobody from the Yankee side during this time did anything that I think Aaron could look at and sort of use to push him in that direction, which, who knows how critical that was. But I think it probably was pretty important so that it just, like you said, didn't create any kind of block on the bridge.
Exactly. And I go back and I've been fortunate to cover the Hot Stove long enough to remember that when Derek Jeter was last a free agent, that there was still the Giants, actually, ironically enough, were the team that was involved at least a little bit in the conversation with Jeter's representatives. So he at least had the conversation. And by the time he signed back, it did not impact at all his leadership, his captaincy, which of course we expect Aaron to have as well. This is just the normal course of business. And I look at the Yankees side of things, and they had to have prepared and had other outfielders in mind if Aaron had gone to the Giants or the Padres, in the same way that Aaron had to think about other teams. This is just the nature of free agency. And I think that you really look at the big picture here, and by saying no, by betting on himself, Aaron made more than $100 million, which is a fairly extraordinary thing to be able to say, but he did. And even the last few days, he was able to get that additional $60 million based on where the Yankees were at the outset. So I think by being patient, and most of all, by producing, not everybody can have what we're going to describe as, admittedly, the greatest platform season anybody's ever had in the era of big time free agency. It's never happened before like this. And so he timed it absolutely perfectly. And I think, Ryan, for me, a couple things. Number one, this can't be the end of the Yankees offseason.
Right.
We know that they've already lost Jameson Taillon from a team that was not good enough to beat the Astros. We saw that. We watched that play out, the gap. And while Verlander is gone from the Astros, their pitching is still the standard in the sport right now, even without Verlander. It's amazing to say it, but it's true. And so the Yankees, after losing Taillon, they have to do more. They have to not allow this to be the last move. And the other piece of this, which I'm going to be really interested to see, is how the Yankees plan to utilize him from a workload standpoint. Yes, the goal, number one, as you know, is to win the World Series in 2023. That's the Yankees' objective and mission every single year. However, you now have a 9-year relationship with a player who you have to make sure that you give him the best opportunity to be healthy for as many years and as many games as possible. Yeah. And that is where one of the most important players in the Yankees roster right now becomes Harrison Bader, because once Bader was acquired and got healthy, it allowed the Yankees to play Judge on the corner and perhaps keep him fresh late in the season. Obviously, the Yankees didn't win the World Series. We know that. But I think looking forward, the plan is not for Judge to play 100 games in center field this year, because you've got someone who can do that at a very elite level in Harrison Bader. And the final point I'll make before I send it back to you is you look at the Aaron Boone aspect of this. And Joel Sherman reported about a late night phone call being made from the manager to Aaron Judge to really just not talk about money, because that's not a money conversation. It's about you and your career and your place and your role. And Ryan, I know that you've been in there as well. When you have a broadcast meeting and a conversation with Aaron Boone in his office, and he's sitting at his desk and you're speaking to Aaron, the photo above his shoulder is two guys, Aaron Boone, Aaron Judge, celebrating a postseason berth. And I've had the privilege to be in there and speak with Aaron before a lot of broadcasts this past season. And I looked at that picture a lot. Yeah. I thought to myself, Aaron Boone's a very authentic guy, as Aaron Judge is too. And I'm sure that in no way was that photo there for a message to be sent. It was just a very special moment for Aaron with a very special person. And I just think that as a manager, you have those special people that you cross paths with in your life, that I just think Aaron Boone really wanted to keep him. And I think that Aaron Judge went through that year knowing how much his manager honored and valued and respected everything that number 99 did.
You know, John, two things for, I know you got a crazy busy slate there, but I want to hit you on. You mentioned the Yankees shouldn't be done yet and can't be done. And it's so true, because all they do is retain a player they had while they got swept by the Astros, right? And we could say, okay, if they had Benintendi, if they had LeMahieu, but we know the Astros have operated at a tier that the Yankees have not quite caught up to over the last 6 years, right? What do you think those next moves are? Is it Rodon? Is it Carlos Rodon? Is it Benintendi coming back? Is it the outfielder from Japan? Where do you think they go from here most realistically?
Right. So it's a great question, Ryan. And I think a couple of things. That they need to get a lefty bat for the outfield. I think at times during the playoffs, and I agree, if they'd had a healthy Benintendi, if they had a healthy LeMahieu, it might have been different. But there were just not enough times in that series against Houston where they had a productive at-bat with the man in scoring position, especially from the left side. There just wasn't enough of that. Yep. And Rizzo's return is a huge story too. But I think to have an outfielder, and that's, to me, the infield is kind of crowded. Whether it's Peraza, you may have Cabrera infield, outfield, Volpe's coming. What do you expect from Donaldson? LeMahieu? Do you trade Torres? And they're so crowded there. There's not really a space to move an infielder in, how I look at it. If anything, you're moving one out. And then I think on the outfield side, it just screams for a Benintendi type bat. Masataka Yoshida is the player that you referenced from the Oryx Buffaloes, who was there's a little bit of, from what I've heard of his scouting report, there's a little bit of Brett Gardner to him. Maybe not as good of a defender as Brett, maybe a bit more of a power guy, at least in NPB numbers, but a really good contact, bat to ball player kind of a player. And so I think he is someone who would, I think, approximate what you would have gotten from Brett Gardner in his prime. I'm not saying for sure in year one, but that's the kind of player that we're talking about. And so I think he would really fit them nicely in the same way that Benintendi would. I think pitching wise, they're fortunate that whether it's Kodai Senga, there's a lot of sort of mid-tier starting pitching out there. I think that they need a little bit more reliability back end, because I think you look at Nestor Cortez and everything he meant to that franchise in 2022. You hope he can build on that with the same workload, but it might not be fair to expect him to be as dominant as he was for 6 months. I think you have to build in a bit more layers there. You expect Cole to bounce back. And I think on the position player side of things, for me, Ryan, if you tell me the number of games that LeMahieu plays, we'll have a big piece to the puzzle of how good the Yankees are going to be. He's just, I think he's just, and not because he's from the great state of Michigan, I'm just a big LeMahieu guy. And I think, Ryan, that, and you've seen it, just what those quality at-bats do against good pitching and big spots. He does it. And Rizzo does it too. And Judge does it as well. And I think that sets the tone in the middle part of that lineup. I think they just need a little bit more length. And if you have LeMahieu there, I think it just changes maybe what you expect out of a young Raza, a Cabrera. Like I love what I saw from both those guys late in the season. I think they're ready. I think Peraza had some great, brilliant defensive moments, I thought, in the playoffs, even against Houston. And I think they're ready. But I just think that getting that one more outfield bat and a healthy LeMahieu is just so crucial, because a healthy LeMahieu, Ryan, gives you a little bit of insurance. If Donaldson doesn't quite come back all the way, you can have LeMahieu play third and you don't miss a beat.
Yes. All right. Last thing for you, John. I just got to give kudos to your network, MLB Network, because the fact that you guys were able to get on the air the way that you did this morning was so impressive to me. In fact, as a viewer, I was like, oh, I want to see something about this right now with the Judge signing. But I was like, I don't know what's going to be live. And I was like, maybe MLB Network will. I don't expect. And I turn it on and you guys are going live. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the scramble mode they must have pulled off. So I know you're up against it. So however quickly you want to summarize how you guys were able to pull that off and get on the air, I just want to give you due credit as someone in the business, because I so appreciated it, not just from a colleague standpoint, but also from a consumer standpoint.
I appreciate it. Well, the credit goes to our coordinating producers in the morning here, Mark Capablo and Rich Savino, who were there when I got to this room that I'm sitting outside of right now. Here, our workroom at MLB Network, they were already here at 6 a.m. But maybe it's like 5:45, 6 a.m. They were already there. And Adam Helfgott, our great producer as well, was there. And it was a team effort. And you really got the sense of how much pride we have at the network when big news happens, to be there and to be able to give that timely report. And it's a lot of people, because as you know, working in the business as well as you have for as long as you have, you know how many people it takes, both back in Secaucus and here on site in San Diego, to get on the air an hour and a half before you expected to. Make sure that you have all the people behind the scenes, the great camera operators and everybody in the truck, the tape replay, everybody to have that set. So I just think it was a great effort by everybody here. And I love that when I showed up to this room that I'm sitting outside of right now, I was not the first person here. Like, there were people who were ready to go and laying the groundwork for us to get on. So Josh Bernstein, Mark Haifa, they were all here. So it was just great to see that team effort. And I'm just lucky to work with this group. And Lauren Shahadi was there. We taped something for social media even before we got on the air that started airing in the breaks. So Lauren was up bright and early, and Harold was there, Matt Vasgersian. So I got a lot of great teammates, Ryan. It's just it's a blessing to work with this team.
Well, John, a fantastic day for Aaron Judge, but also a great day for Jon Morisi, okay? A great day, breaking a huge story thanks to celebrating your wife's birthday. What's better than that? Congratulations, and thanks for hopping on R2C2. C, who is busy with the commissioner at the winter meetings, and myself. So appreciate you coming on, man.
Ryan, thank you so much for the invitation, and to CC as well. All my best wishes to all you for the holidays. And again, let's hope we connect again real soon.
That sounds good, man. All the best, John.
Thanks, Ryan. You too.